Thank you. Can I say at this stage that we are getting towards the end of being able to take further questions from you. So if you've got questions that you'd like to be considered for the final half an hour, please could you write those down and hand them to a volunteer, or otherwise get them to the piano over there. We'll be offering that up until 8:30. So with this next question, the answering order is Ian, Sharma, Pfizer, Paul and Josh. Apologies, sorry, wrong question. Josh, Pfizer, Sharma, Ian and Paul is the correct order for this question. So here comes the question. The conflict in Gaza and Israel is of deep concern. What will you do towards stopping the mass killing of civilians, to resolve permanently the situation and to support rehabilitation and reconstruction? Josh.
Thank you. I'm 41 years old, and there hasn't been a day of my life, I think, where the most complicated issue in international politics has been anything other than the Israel-Palestine conflict. The current situation, perhaps maybe, is a little bit more straightforward. There is a humanitarian catastrophe occurring in Gaza in front of our eyes, and we have to do absolutely everything that we can to bring it to a close as soon as is humanly possible. The Liberal Democrats, along with the Greens and the SNP, were the first political party to call for a ceasefire in the House of Commons. If Labour had jumped on board at that time, maybe the UK would have had a unified position early, and we would have been able to put effective pressure to have brought the conflict to a close. They weren't, and we are where we are. But we are steadfast in our belief that this war must be brought to an end by any means necessary. That includes suspending arms sales to Israel while they are carrying out unprovoked massacres against innocent civilians. And that includes potentially even recognizing ICJ and ICC arrest warrants as and when they are issued. That said, we have to be extremely clear about the fact that we are allies to Israel, and that they will be a country that is surrounded by enemies after this war is ended. We have to make it extremely clear that our position is not one that is based on anti-Semitism, that we support Israel's right to exist, and that they will continue to enjoy our friendship and our alliance into the future. That doesn't mean in the short term that we are going to allow them to carry out these kinds of atrocities. Thank you.
Since October the 7th, 1,139 Israelis were killed. 37,718 people have been killed in Gaza. I just want us to think about those numbers, those people killed. All lives are equal. That's so many people. It has been horrifying to watch that from here. And, you know, in the days after the Hamas attack, I organised with local rabbis, local imams, local priests, a peace vigil. I was told I wasn't allowed to call it a peace vigil, actually. I had to call it a silent vigil. And we came together as a community. There's something really important about how we hold ourselves here in this community, even when we disagree on things, that we recognise our common humanity. Now, what needs to happen? Permanent, immediate ceasefire. Don't want to see any more people, innocent children killed. We need to see an ending of arms sales, not just to Israel, but any country that is killing innocent civilians. Absolutely do not want our hands in that. We need to recognise what ICJ is saying on a plausible genocide, and we have to make sure that people are held to account. And look, a lot of people will say that, you know, two-state solution is a shortcut for something. But why is it up to me here to say what that peaceful coexistence should look like? That should come from the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. We need a good process of peace and reconciliation process like they've had in Colombia and other countries. And there's lots of experts out there that can do that. It's not for me to say how that solution should look like. Thank you.
I don't think there could be anybody who hasn't been moved or horrified since the October 7th atrocities, since the killing of people in Gaza and people dying and humanitarian disaster that's unfolding there. What we need to be doing as a government, as a country, is looking for how we can get a ceasefire, get the hostages released, get aid into Gaza, and look for an international community that works together with the allies in the region to bring about a two-state solution, a safe, secure Israel and a viable Palestinian state. That is what I'll be continually advocating for. But I want to make one point very, very clear. The rise in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia since the October 7th attacks has been horrific in our communities. And my promise to you, as if I do become the MP and my work continually as a councillor is, none of my words or my actions will ever scare a community, will never worry a community. You can be angry with me, you can disagree with me, but my words or actions will never scare any one community. I've been a massive advocate for anti-Semitism training, Islamophobia training within my own party. And I can make that promise to you that no community will feel unsafe from my words and my actions.
The attacks in October were brutal, deliberately brutal, because what was going to happen after that was what really I think Iran wanted. And I say this because this whole tragedy seems to have been acted out by actors who weren't even in there. The truth is that we want absolutely, number one, we need to have that humanitarian pause immediately from all sides. We need to get humanitarian aid in significant quantities. And that's why we need that. The second thing is we must bring everybody together and try and work out a proper, sustained ceasefire. There has to be both parties involved in it, because one without the other, you're not going to get a ceasefire. So working on that is critical. And the longer-term plan, which we've talked about for years, but we have never really put into practice, is that there must be a two-state solution in that area that grants to the Palestinians their right in a statehood, and also alongside Israel in peace. Israel is a friend of ours, they are our ally. But we need to make sure that the ability of us to persuade to our ally and friend is to now to step up, get those hostages released, get that humanitarian aid in, and a ceasefire developing into a long-term solution.
This is a very tragic occurrence. What everyone has been saying here, we need to try and get these two separate entities together to sort out a solution. Now, in October 7, when there's an average saying, isn't it? If you poke a sleeping bear, it's going to turn around and bite. But the time has come now when we've seen so many innocent children, people, civilians affected in this, that it does need us to try and bring both sides together, to try and sort out a solution one way or another. I'm not up into international politics. All I know is what like most of you know, is what you've seen on the news. But it is a tragic affair, and it does need to be sorted out and discussed and mediated between the two sides. Thank you.
We have the opportunity now for one clarification question from the audience. Could I ask, Cheryl, could you come and grab the other microphone?